the news over the last 24 hours, again, tough to keep up with. Breaking news every 5 minutes, right? But the latest is that intelligence reports from the Pentagon say that the attack on Iranian nuclear facilities may not have, quote, totally obliterated them. As a matter of fact, it may have only set them back months. I still think there's more assessment to come, but to help us make more sense of it, joining us right now, he's retired Army Major and military analyst Mike Lyons. Mike, first off, thank you for being with us. And secondly, what do you make of these initial reports?
Yeah, I saw both of those reports. New York Times reports and also CNN has it out right now. You know what? I still don't believe the battle damage assessment is totally complete. I'm not sure what their sources are. I think only they have satellite photos to look at. There's still human intelligence. Someone needs to go on the ground and take a look to see what's going on there. So it's hard for me to say. When you read the sources, they're anonymous. This administration, the Trump administration, still has enemies within, I think, unfortunately. But not saying it's a conspiracy theory, but it's pretty hard to think that the amount of ordnance that got dropped on that it wasn't significantly set back. So the term obliterated means completely destroyed. I'm not sure it was that choice of words wasn't maybe right. Mm-hmm. But it's clearly been delayed more than just a few months too. I mean, I just don't get that. I mean, if they were years away from a bomb, now all of a sudden they're a couple of months away from a bomb after getting bombed. That doesn't make me either. So
if we didn't destroy them completely, how big of an embarrassment is this for Trump and the U.S.?
Well, I mean, there was never any way to destroy them completely. I think that was always the mission. I think they might have oversold that idea.
Wow.
It was always going to be difficult to take Iranian nuclear capability away just using a military solution alone, which is why they spread it out, which is why, they learned from Syria, they learned from Osirak, they learned from previous attacks that the United States made.
So this is Trump's fault for overselling it. I mean, that's
I was surprised when I just saw the ceasefire. Let's go to that. I want to, go to the lead here. But I mean, the ceasefire last night was crazy. He puts it on a tweet. He puts a ceasefire. He's got it marketed. He's got the whole thing ready. He's got the bumper
12-day war. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got it all ready to go, ready to put it in the history books. We don't even speak to Iran, right? We don't even have a conversation with them. I don't know how we're going to go from that to having peace with them, but that remains to be seen. But so anyway, I think that he traditionally gets out in front of his skis a little bit. Now you saw the visceral reaction he had this morning when both sides weren't necessarily abiding by the ceasefire.
Mike Lyons joining us right now, retired Army Major and military analyst. We see you everywhere all the time. That just goes to show the depth of your knowledge. It's great to have you on with us. I guess I saw some other reports, and again, the satellite imagery that you see of officials saying that Iran might have moved the uranium as well. There's the actual material may not have been in those facilities when they were bombed. I don't even know what you do with that. Do we know everything we need to know about their nuclear program, or is it possible they have sites or production that we're just not aware of?
Well, I have faith in the Israelis, knowing that if they did move that, they know where it is. I think Netanyahu alluded to that. This is the country that put pagers in people's pants, and we all know what happened.
Yeah.
So again, I have faith in the Israelis from an intel perspective. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some human intelligence anytime soon. We send a commando raid into Fordo and some of those places to see exactly what's going on, because that's really what's going to determine the situation on the ground. So, those reports of trucks, whether they were adding more dirt, whether they were reinforcing it, they could have been in Isfahan. They weren't necessarily in Fordo. The bottom line is, they were on their way, and that's the whole point about this operation. They were on their way. It's been delayed. The question is, the nuclear genie, again, out of the bottle. At some point, a country can develop this. It's not, you go on the internet and you can do all the steps to take uranium ore out of the ground and turn it into a nuclear bomb. The instructions are pretty clear on how to do that. But I think clearly that they've been set back. The question is just how long they've been set back.
Our buddy Mike Lyons is joining us, retired Army Major and military analyst. Did Netanyahu sell Trump on bombing these nuclear sites, and did he mislead the president because, like, if I'm Donald Trump and I'm talking to Bibi and I'm like, and I'm like, okay, you guys have done a lot of the hard work,
The heavy lifting.
the
right?
heavy lifting, if you will. All I got to do is drop a bunch of these bunker busters, and Bibi goes, yeah, and it's over. Do you think that Trump was misled by Netanyahu?
I don't think so. I think that, first of all, Trump wants to be a winner, and he wasn't going to enter this until he knew that was going to be the case, knew that there was virtually no risk for the U.S. airmen and submariners that fired those T-slams from the sea into those targets. So I think that was part of it. I know for a fact inside the Pentagon and inside the military community that they were saying, this is what we made this weapon system for. If we're not going to drop it here, I don't know what we're going to do with it. So this is a good example of that. I was completely head faked by the B-2s going to Guam. I thought that, once again, all of warfare is deception. And I thought that was a great move because the Iranians thought they bought themselves more time. And next thing you know, the attack comes from the east, comes from Missouri. Tell me another country in the world that can fly 36 straight hours,
Right?
Yeah.
bomb you, and get home in time for dinner.
But you make
the next night.
but you make a great point. Look at what we did, and Iran is still
Yeah.
there. So I'm thinking, like, yesterday Iran is on the precipice of defeat, and now it looks like they've survived the best from Israel and the best from the United States. And I bet Iran is saying that they're winning.
Right. Well, and I think the ceasefire is too soon. I think it's shaky
Oh.
its best. And I think the Israelis are going to do what they can to continue their campaign. Right now, the last few days, their targets were Republican guard divisions and police stations. So the bottom line is, if there's going to be regime change, the army, the military is going to control a lot of things because they have equipment, they have weapons, they have everything. So the Israelis, I think, are out in front of that and trying to wipe out those leaders now, as well as try to talk people into coming over to the other side. So I'm positive there's a campaign going on in the shadows in Iran right now, fomenting an uprising that could take place, but knowing full well that they have to make sure that they control the military equipment. Now, if they don't control the military equipment, they're going to have to figure a way to do that. They might use cyber attacks on the military equipment. They might have, fry some of the things that are on that equipment, because that's going to be a determining factor should there be some kind of revolution inside of Iran.
Again, Mike Lyons, our military analyst, retired Army major. Final question for you, Mike. In your opinion, did the strike on Iran make it more or less likely that Iran will ultimately have nuclear weapons? You see what I'm saying? Is this going to speed up their efforts to keep it secret, or will they come to the negotiating table?
No, less likely, but I don't believe Iran is going to negotiate. I think that the regime will change, and it will be a determining factor of the next regime whether we go down this path. The Iranians don't flip this switch. This leopard doesn't change its spots. It's hated us for 47 years.
Yeah.
I think, I got to ask the question today, what's the biggest impediment to peace? It's culture. I don't see all of a sudden the Iranians. I don't see that moment of, you saw Jimmy Carter and Begin and Sadat holding their hands together like this on a picture, winning the Nobel Peace Prize. And I don't see the Ayatollah and Bibi and Trump doing that. Not happening.
Fair.
So there's this huge cultural divide between us and Iran, or the Iranian leadership, when we talk about the Iranian people. So I think this is a delay tactic. If I'm the Iranians right now, I say anything, do anything to get the Americans, to get the Israelis to stop bombing.
Buy time, right? Yeah.
Right. So I still think we're a ways away from any kind of real solution as to what we think the end game is going to be. But I do still believe at the end of the day, what the attack we made and what Israel has done so far has pushed out their nuclear program. Whether it's it's definitely more than months. It's likely years. It's likely in a time that this regime will never be able to do it again.
Got it.
All right, Mike Lyons, thanks for your
you,
time,
sir.
man.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, Mike Lyons, retired Army major and military analyst. Well, if he's saying that it's likely that in this regime they won't have a nuke, that's good.
Yeah.
There is some good about the bombing. It's just not as good as we thought.
And I just
Okay.
don't. I'm skeptical that the next regime is
me too.
better.
Me too. It could be, it could be
just
worse.
using history as an example.
It could be worse.
We can wish for it. Yes.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.